The hospital was quiet, until a K9 suddenly stopped at room 207. No one understood why the dog barked so wildly at the door. But when staff finally opened it, what they found inside shocked everyone and proved the dog's instincts were nothing short of life-saving. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The hospital corridors echoed with the rhythm of life. Nurses rushing, doctors whispering, machines beeping. Through it all walked an unusual pair, a uniformed officer and his K9 partner Rex. The German Shepherd moved with calm precision, nails clicking softly on the floor. Children peeked from doorways, patients smiled. Rex was more than a working dog. He was hope wrapped in fur. The officer patted his side. "Easy day, buddy." Rex's ears twitched. Nothing seemed unusual until they reached room 207. There, Rex sensed something no human eye could see. Rex's calm patrol broke. His ears shot forward, nostrils flared, and he froze. Then, without warning, he lunged, claws scraping the tiles as the officer struggled to hold him back. Room 207. Rex planted himself, body stiff, barking with urgent, desperate force. Nurses. Startled, a clipboard crashed to the floor, patients whispered from behind doors. The calm hospital now throbbed with tension. "Rex, heel!" the officer barked, but the shepherd refused. His claws raked the door, barking louder, warning them all. The officer's chest tightened. Rex never barked without reason. Whatever was inside room 207 wasn't ordinary. The hallway filled with uneasy voices. "What's going on?" a nurse whispered as Rex's barks thundered off the walls. The officer gripped the leash, but the shepherd lunged, teeth bared, refusing to back down. A young doctor muttered, "Probably nothing, medicine, maybe a machine," but his eyes betrayed doubt. Another nurse shook her head. "No, he's warning us." The officer knew she was right. This wasn't restlessness. This was urgency. Patients crowded the corridor, fear spreading. "Why that room? What's in there?" Room. Chauvin stayed silent. Too silent. No footsteps, no hum of machines, only emptiness. Rex's bark grew raw, frantic. Ignoring him was no longer an option. The officer tightened his grip on the leash, sweat prickling at his neck. Rex's eyes blazed with determination, his body tense like a coiled spring. This wasn't random. He knew that look. He'd seen it when Rex uncovered explosives hidden in a warehouse, when he detected drugs stuffed into false compartments, and once when the dog sensed a man's medical emergency before anyone noticed. Rex never barked without cause. "I'm telling you, something's wrong in that room," the officer said firmly. A doctor scoffed. "There's no patient scheduled in 207. It's probably empty. He's just reacting to smells." But the officer shook his head. "No, look at him. He's trying to tell us something." Rex's growls deepened, his nails scraping the door, saliva flecking as his barking grew relentless. The hallway buzzed with murmurs, patients whispering, nurses exchanging nervous glances. Fear was spreading fast. The officer stepped closer, to the door. "If he says there's something in there, we're checking it." There was a tense pause. Finally, a nurse produced a key, her hand trembling. "Fine," she said softly. "But if your dog is wrong..." The officer glanced down at Rex. His voice was steady. "He's never wrong." The key turned with a slow click, the sound echoing through the silent hallway. Everyone leaned in, breath held, as the door to room 207 creaked open. The officer nudged it wider with his shoulder, Rex straining against the leash, barking with renewed urgency. At first glance, the room looked empty. The blinds were half closed, the lights dim, and a thin layer of dust clung to the windowsill. A hospital bed sat neatly in the center, its sheets perfectly folded as though no patient had touched them in weeks. "See?" a doctor muttered. Nothing unusual, but Rex refused to be convinced. The moment the door opened fully, he lunged forward, pulling free from the officer's grip. He raced across the floor, nose pressed to the tiles, weaving back and forth, with frantic precision. Then he stopped, rigid, muscles stiff, a low growl vibrating in his chest. His gaze was locked on a shadowed corner behind a stack of unused equipment. He barked furiously, refusing to back away, his tail stiff like a warning flag. The officer's pulse quickened. He stepped forward cautiously, pushing aside a rolling cart, then a folded screen. Nurses huddled behind him, their hearts pounding. And there, hidden in the dimness of room 207, something, or someone, waited. The room fell silent except for Rex's relentless growl. The officer's flashlight cut through the dimness, casting long shadows across the floor. Slowly, he moved the equipment aside, every creak of metal heightening the tension. The nurses clutched each other, breaths shallow, waiting for the reveal. Then the beam of light landed on something that made everyone gasp. A frail man lay slumped against the wall, hidden beneath a pile of blankets and equipment. His skin was pale, his lips bluish, and his breathing shallow, so faint it was almost imperceptible. One nurse dropped to her knees, checking for a pulse. "He's alive, but barely," she cried. Shock rippled through the room. The patient had been listed as discharged days ago, but somehow he had been left behind, trapped, forgotten, and unseen in room 207. Rex whined, pawing at the man as if urging everyone to hurry. The officer's heart pounded. Without the dog's persistence, this man would have been found too late. "Call emergency response now," the doctor barked, snapping into action. Alarms blared, footsteps thundered, and suddenly the quiet hospital erupted into chaos. As paramedics rushed in, one thought chilled everyone present. If not for Rex, room 207 would have become a tomb. The once quiet hallway erupted into organized chaos. Nurses sprinted for equipment, doctors shouted orders, and the paramedics rushed in with a stretcher. Rex barked sharply, circling the unconscious man, refusing to step aside until the officer gently guided him back. His tail wagged anxiously, his eyes never leaving the patient. Oxygen masks were strapped on, IV lines prepared, monitors wheeled in. "His pulse is weak, dropping fast," a medic yelled. Another pressed defibrillator pads to his chest as the room filled with the piercing cry of machines. Families of patients gathered at the ends of the hall, whispering in disbelief. "That dog found him?" someone asked. Word spread quickly, and soon the hospital was buzzing. Everyone knew the K9 had uncovered what humans had missed. The officer knelt beside his partner, stroking his fur. "You did good, boy," he whispered, voice trembling with pride. Rex whined softly, ears flat, as though he understood the gravity of the moment. Minutes felt like hours until finally a medic shouted, "We've got him! Pulse is stabilizing!" Relief crashed over the room like a wave. As the patient was lifted onto the stretcher, Rex stood tall, chest heaving. The shepherd wasn't just a guard dog today, he was a lifesaver. The patient was rushed to intensive care, doctors moving. Like a shield around him, the hallway emptied, but the weight of what had nearly happened lingered. Nurses whispered through tears, shaken by how close tragedy had come. The officer sat outside room 207, Rex at his feet. The shepherd's breaths were heavy but calm. A hand rested on his head. "You saved him," the officer murmured. A doctor approached, voice unsteady. "Minutes away from death. We would have lost him. I don't know how your dog knew, but he did. Instincts stronger than machines." Word spread fast. Staff and patients called Rex a hero. Strangers stopped to touch his fur, some with tears, whispering thanks. The officer smiled, pride swelling. Once again, Rex had proven the truth. Trust a dog's instincts and lives are saved. In the days that followed, room 207 became more than a hospital room. It became a reminder of how close life can slip away. At the center of it all stood Rex, the canine who refused to be ignored. "Machines can measure a heartbeat," the officer said, "but only a dog can feel one." His words echoed through the halls, leaving the staff forever changed. The man who was saved whispered with trembling lips, "That dog is my angel." And for everyone who witnessed it, the lesson was clear. Never doubt a dog's instincts. Sometimes a bark is the sound of a life being saved.